Yo, 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 what's up, everybody? This is your boy Isaac,
And this is your boy Bryce.
and we are Brothers on Tennis. And folks, we are wrapping up the month of February. Lots of tournaments going on. Again, a continuation of our podcast from a few weeks back. We've got a few 500s going on. We've got Indian Wells and Miami coming up. So, Bryce, a lot of tennis is still going on, man. How are you, and what are your thoughts on the schedule that we are in right now?
It's fun. I love both of the hard court seasons, if you
Yeah.
will. And leading up to the Sunshine Double, the first tournament we're going to attend for the year, the BNP Paribas Open in Indian Wells, California. So looking forward to seeing everyone there and seeing all the great tennis, and hopefully the weather will be good since it's in early March. Maybe it won't be a gazillion degrees out there. So really looking forward to that. But hey, these lead ups have just continued to build the hype for the tour. And really, I think it is a tale of two stories, really, on the men's and the women's side. On the men's side, right now, it is Carlos Alcaraz's world.
Yes. Yes.
And the funny thing is, and I think, who was it? Brad Gilbert talking about it, yesterday. There were so many people who were really concerned for Carlos coming into this year when he split from Juan Carlos Ferrero at the end of last year. People were uncertain as to how that was going to play out in his matches, and, would he fall off a bit? And the funny thing is, Alcaraz has looked as good as ever. Sinner has kind of been the one that has fallen off a little bit, not making it to the finals in the last couple of tournaments he's been in. So he's lost to the oldest and the youngest person in the top 20.
Yep.
So it's like everybody got a shot. So, so that's the story on the men's side, as far as I'm concerned. And then on the women's side, it continues to be a story of there's a number of women
Yes.
that can get the job done on any given week. And we continue to see there's 5 or 6 different women always who have their names in the hat. And that keeps it exciting in a different kind of a way for them. So that's the way I'm kind of seeing things right now. And that means going into Indian Wells, I'm predicting that Alcaraz is going to win, and I'm not sure who's going to win on the women's side.
Right. I am right there with you, my man. I am of the same mindset. It is Alcaraz's world. He is just showing up and showing out. Yeah, that tournament he played was absolutely incredible. So, where would you like to start, my man?
Uh, let's start with the women this time.
Okay. All right. So we've got them in Dubai, yet
Mhm.
another 1,000 event. This one was Dubai, and Pegula steps up and shows out and takes the title, man. Any thoughts on Jess's win?
Okay. Number one, really like Jessica Pegula. If we met her, super, super nice person. And as a consistent of a player as you have out there on the tour. She's not consistently bringing down the big titles, but she's always in them quarterfinals, semifinals. She's making it to the end of the tournaments. But no disrespect to Jessica at all, but we cannot not mention that Sabalenka was not in the field, that Iga was not in the field. I don't believe. I think they both had pulled out of the tournament. Um, so it may not have been as strong of a field because we were missing those top couple of names on the women's side. But, she came through, continued, her domination over Anna Samova. you know,
Yep.
I think we got pigeon status there a little bit. Svitolina is just, she's doing her best Kim Clijsters impression, uh, being as far as I'm concerned, a much better, much more offensive player than she was before she went out on maternity leave. And to be very honest with you, Isaac, I thought going into the finals, I thought she was going to win. And the reason being is because I felt she was more offensive.
Right.
They both have great defensive skills, but I thought Svitolina had the edge offensively. But Jessica was like, hold up, wait a minute. She's been playing really well over the last 6 months. And I was kind of surprised. I think they said this is her fourth 1,000
Oh, really?
level tournament. Yeah, I didn't know she had won that many 1,000 level tournaments. So I think out of her 10 tournaments she's won, 4 of them are 1,000 level tournaments.
Wow, that's a nice record. Yeah, that's like what, 60% or 40%. So
right.
There you go. That ain't nothing wrong with that. Shoot. Yeah, Jess is, like I said. I'll say it again. I've always kind of I felt like she has overachieved in my opinion. And I'm good for her because she definitely is one of the stalwarts for USA Tennis, and she's always in the mix. And you just never know. Somebody slips here and there, and boom, she is very consistent. And like I said, she can make it through when the other big players, i.e. the Sabalenkas and the Igas, are not at the top of their game, or in this case, not in the tournament. So yeah, kudos to her, man. Kudos to her, and good tournament for all as far as overall.
Right.
Yeah. Cool, man. Well, jump into the men. I mean, we can do some quick shout outs. So the tournament in Brazil, that was, I'm sorry, y'all, but clay to me in February just is not right. We need to get past the hard courts, then we can really love on some clay and Rome and the Italian and exactly. And then we roll on in Madrid and got Roland Garros there.
Monte Carlo.
Yeah, but when I'm seeing clay in February, I'm sorry, y'all, I don't get too encouraged. And most of the B, if not C level players are playing those as well. And so with that being said, shout out to Etcheverry for being able to collect him a title. He beat Tabilo in the final there in Brazil. Once again, talking about Fonseca, he goes out to Buse in the second round, and I'm just like, okay, Joao, what's you getting all this hype now? We need to see some results now. But with that being said, shout out to Etcheverry. Anything on that, Bryce?
No, and I want to make sure that the listeners understand we're not being overly harsh on Fonseca. We understand he's young and he's got time, and we're not trying to make some editorial statement on his career.
Right.
But tennis is the best sport in the world. I want to jump out there and hype up somebody quick. Especially if they got the complexion for the protection. They will be out there. They will overhype them quick, But anyway, we'll see him on the back end.
There you go. There you have it. And so, yeah, shout out to Brazil in that tournament. We'll come statewide because we'll leave Qatar for last. We had Delray Beach. And, I have to say, I was pleasantly surprised to see Sebastian Korda get through the draw and, make it to the final. I would have given the edge to Tommy Paul going into that final, but apparently Seb Korda was like, I ain't nobody scared of you. I like your game. I mean, beat the boy in straight sets, 6-4, 6-3, and was like, boy, move. So that was a little bit surprising to me, if I do say so myself. But with that being said, Bryce, let's talk about Delray Beach. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I thought somebody had reported a sighting of Korda on that boat with Crystal Waters and Terrence Trent D'Arby and all that. I didn't even know he was in the mix, honestly. But let me give Tommy Paul his flowers, because we had kind of put him on blast a little bit the week before.
Right.
He did meet up with Leonard Tien, who, we were saying, Shelton and Tien had passed up Tommy Paul and Francis Tiafoe, in the rankings, which they had, you know. But Tommy was like, hold on.
Yeah, wait a minute.
You may get up on Tiafoe, but
you ain't getting up on me.
No.
No.
So I was happy that he pulled that match out. And because he pulled that match out, I, like you, thought that he was going to win that final.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, Sebastian, showed that, he's somewhat in the mix still and is someone that people got to keep their good eye out on. So,
yeah, I agree with you, and also give Tommy Paul that shout out for beating Taylor Fritz as well.
yes.
His good buddy in straight sets in that third round. So Tommy actually, like you said, he had a really really good tournament, which I was happy to see. And yeah, he may not have collected the title, but hopefully this is a jumping off point for him to start moving in the right direction.
You know what? And I could be off with the data, so I'm not going to try to quote no numbers, but somebody needs to start telling me what is Taylor Fritz's record against Americans, because it seems like Americans are starting to feel real comfortable playing Taylor Fritz.
Well, of late it is for sure. Now, before he was beating him down. He had winning. I mean, he has winning records, of course, against pretty much all of them. In fact, I think it is all of them. But recently, though, he's been taking some L's. He has definitely been taking some L's. So, like I said, I don't know. I'll say what I said about Jeff Pegula to Taylor. I've always felt that he's overachieved as well. So, I think, the fact that he's been the number one American for this long, shout out to him, shout out to his team. We love us some Michael Russell, So, hey, he'll be all right. So, Bryce, jump into Qatar. Let's talk about what happened when the number 1 and 2 players were in the draw. Talk to me about it, my friend.
It's pretty much what I said at the top of the show. I mean, Carlos you can basically lock him in to the finals. I mean, he just kind of moved through the draw like it was common. And, clearly Sinner's going through some things.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I tell you what, here's what I will say about the Sinner match. And Menchik is not someone that is to be played with, because when he is on, his game is fire. And Djokovic found that out in that final of that 1000 in Miami last year. The boy can play, and he actually has been showing, and he's pulled out some good results in 2026 thus far. I think he had to pull out. Yeah, he did. He had to pull out of his match in the Australian Open.
Well, remember, I predicted that was going to be the round that Djokovic lost.
Correct. Mm-hmm. And so because he had to pull out, though, he was in great form. So I think Menchik is trying to be, he's like, listen, y'all keep talking about Ben Shelton. Y'all been talking about Jack Draper. Don't forget about me. Now, I'm a big boy. I'm about 6'5", 6'6". I got a really heavy game. Don't sleep on me. So he might be that one trying to push for that third spot. And apparently he was like, I'm going to prove it today against Jannik Sinner, because he got up on Jannik Sinner, and that was really a very competitive match. But Menchik was like, yeah, bro, if it's just about ground strokes, your ground strokes don't scare me. They may scare Mahatch and all these other folks you be dusting up. They don't scare me.
Well, but I'm going to tell you what this does, though. When you put in the loss that Sinner took to Djokovic and now to Menchik, we were saying, Sinner and Alcaraz were a clear level above everybody else. Like, they're just like, if the two of them are in the draw, they're going to meet in the finals.
Right.
And that's starting to break down.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
It's kind of looking like it depends who's on Sinner's side of the draw.
That is correct.
He's going to make it or not.
Yeah.
I tell you what, I think if Menchik was on Alcaraz's side of the draw, he would have been driving to Indian Wells or flying Indian Wells by then.
I do not disagree. I agree completely.
Now, don't get me wrong. Sinner ain't like fell off or anything like that. He's still Sinner, and actually, this may not bode well for at least the first couple of people he meet,
right?
In Indian Wells, but it is something for us to keep our eye on, because there is going to be a certain amount. Okay, so I'm gonna give you your what kids do.
Yes,
I'm gonna give you this on Sinner. On one hand, you say there may be a little bit of pressure on Sinner to try to keep up with Alcaraz.
Yes.
So that could be playing out. But then you got the other side that says he also knows he's got all these zeros coming up on his schedule, which I would think would make him even more relaxed, because you ain't even got to win the tournament.
You're not defending nothing.
Semi-final showing, you gonna jump, in the rankings. So, not exactly sure what's going on there, but I will. Okay, I'm gonna say this one more thing, and I'm gonna shut up. When you were talking about professional tennis players, all right, these are not creatures. And I don't care if you're talking about the men's side of the draw or you're talking about the women's side of the draw. These are not creatures that you can just continue beating them the same way.
Right.
They gonna change some stuff up. They gonna figure something out.
Adapt.
And this is a difference between Alcaraz and Sinner. Sinner has got an amazing game that just off his base game can just drive 99% of people. But it's the same way.
Right.
And if you have these people that are talented, your Sheltons, your Mensic, there's a number of people, Feast coming back, they're not going to just let you keep beating them the same way.
Right.
Alcaraz, I think, presents a different challenge for those players because Alcaraz will switch it up on you.
Yes, he will.
And that, I think, creates a different challenge for these players. So you do hear the commentators talking about Sinner trying to implement newer and different elements in his game, the net game,
right.
His movement, the whole nine, because he knows, Darren Cahill knows, a lot of people know, some of these players are just too talented to keep. They will just let you keep beating them the same way.
Right, right. Well, and I think that was what was so great about the big three, and I'm going to include Carlos in there as well, is because what I feel like did so well is they would be beating you. You would then adapt your game to try and step up to their level. And then what they would do is they would adapt to that. And see, that's the thing, is like you're saying with Sinner and Alcaraz. Sinner basically has plan A and maybe a pseudo plan B. Carlos has plan A, B, C, D, and E. And he can go through each and every one of them. Is again, how we talk about, folks, it's the cheat codes. He knows how to go through his cheat codes and figure out, okay, if you've adjusted to this, I'm going to start doing this. Because remember, before, early on in his career, he was always doing the drop shot, just early on in matches and everything. Now, that may be plan C. So as you're adjusting from his plan A, he'll go to B and then he'll go C and be like, oh, okay, scoop. And then he's drop shotting you. And then you're like, oh, crap, now I got to adapt to that. And I feel like that is what the big three and Carlos have that others they can't, and I include Sinner in this way, don't have and can't quite get on that level, is again, they're able to adapt to your adaptations of their plan A. And when that happens, you get confused. People get frustrated. And we saw that with Arthur Feast. He done slammed a racket, broke a racket. I felt for my boy because he's brother. I was like, ooh, I want Carlos to win, but I kind of want Arthur Feast too as well.
Yeah, that was a tough one.
Yeah, that was a tough one. But Carlos was like, I am having none of this. You better understand, sir. This a final too? He was like, boy, my cheat codes are. And I mean, that boy played. That match was amazing. If you're a Carlos Alcaraz fan, now if you're a Feast fan, yeah, I don't think you want to watch that one again.
Well, if you're a Feast fan, you have to be mature about it and say it was an amazing result to get to the finals.
Correct.
You've got to be super excited with the new coaching partnership with Goran Ivanisevic. That bodes well. Feast looked like he has picked his game right back up where he left it. And one of the things that commentators are saying that I think I said about 4 years ago, they're saying, if you look at Arthur Feast now, he got this different body now. And he got a whole man body coming behind these shots.
Yeah.
And I remember, like I said, when I saw him back in the day, I was like, this dude got the game. Wait till he grows into his man body.
Yep.
He is going to be a beast. And that is what we're seeing now, because now when you're talking about you may not feel that way about Alcaraz right now, but when you talk about Alcaraz and your centers and these big hitters, maybe 3 years ago, Feast would not have been able to stand at the baseline with them. Oh, he can now.
Yes, he can.
And, oh, by the way, he knows what to do when he gets up there to the net.
Right.
And, oh, by the way, he may be the second, maybe third, depending upon where you put Shelton, most athletic guy out there on the tour.
I would agree with that.
So, like I said, although we had these mixed emotions, and it was a bakery filled final for him. You gotta be happy with the overall performance for the week and what we can potentially see. Fingers crossed he stays healthy. From him for the rest of 2026.
Yeah, I think kind of similar to how we were talking about Vicky Mboko. I feel like if he can stay injury free for the rest of this year, we'll see him in the top 10 again.
Yeah.
Give
me an Arthur Feast Mboko mixed doubles pairing at
yes.
I think I need to see that.
I think I need to see that as well. Good call right there, brother. Yes. Yeah, so yeah, bro. So that was Qatar. Those were our tournaments. Folks, we've got still a lot more tournaments going on this week as well. Again, everybody's trying to get all prepped up and ready for Indian Wells. So we've got, oh gosh, I thought I had my tournament sheet up. But yeah, we've got a tournament in Austin as well as Merida for the ladies. The men have men have two, Santiago and Acapulco. Is that right? Oh, they also have Dubai. I'm sorry, they have three. So Acapulco, Santiago, and Dubai. So, kudos to those folks in those draws. Hopefully they will get the matches that they need to be able to get themselves right upon coming to Indian Wells. So, Bryce, anything in addition that you want to talk about?
No, pretty straightforward week. Once again, just want to remind folks, if you're out in that desert, shout us out, holler at us. We'll be looking for you. We like to take that picture for the gram. We'll definitely be at the Desert Smash event on Tuesday. It is a 2-day event. So if you are out in the Palm Springs area next week, definitely hit up that Monday for a pickleball celebrity pro event on that Monday and a tennis pro celebrity event on that Tuesday. We will be there on that Tuesday. Shout out to the Desert Smash organization for once again keeping us in their minds and their thoughts for their event. So,
all right, good stuff, brother.
Well, if that is it, we're going to actually run over to Instagram. We haven't been over there for a hot minute and say hey to the good peeps and the fam over there. But you all have a wonderful week, and we will be sending you plenty of content next week from the desert in California. And with that, on behalf of the podcast, this has been your boy Bryce.
And this is your boy Isaac.
And we are Brothers on Tennis. Everyone stay up.